Hey guys, good evening. Sean Bougie here. If somebody could do me a favor, chat is currently on, I believe. If you could, let me make sure. Yep. If you could, just let me know you can hear and see me okay, so we can go forward on this. Usually there's a slight delay. I am going to be covering, and I'll say this again in a minute after you guys let me know that you can hear and see me okay. But I am going to be covering two main things. One is the December shutdown, what that really means for everybody. And the second one is going to be, I promised you guys I'll go into how to backward engineer lists. But if somebody could give me a heads up that you can hear and see me okay. Hello, can see and hear you. All is good. Great. Guys, Denny, good to see you too, buddy. And Boris and David, fantastic. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and shut the chat down for just a second. I'll come back to it, but I've got to cover some stuff, and I don't want to get distracted on it. All right, so chat is currently disabled. It'll be re-enabled shortly. It's just, like I said, I've got two main things I want to cover quickly here. I am not, just so you guys know, I'm not going to really go into the January 1st launch. Jeff and I are really, really excited about that. But that's something we're going to be covering in either the next webinar or even the one following that. We're not in a hurry to go through that. We're still deciding on exactly what we're going to include with that. I will say this, without letting the cat out of the bag, when you guys see all that comes with that new program, I don't think anybody's going to be disappointed. So December, the first thing I want to cover is, I know a lot of you guys, I've gotten a lot of freak out emails after I sent that email out, and that was not my intention. So December, what we do starting December 1st all the way through midnight December 31st, well, actually usually until 10 a.m., I believe, on January 1st, we shut everything down, all of it. And the reason we do that is we're giving our guys a break. Now, having said that, guys, my crew is still there. We still work all of December. When I say we shut it down, we don't bring on new members in December at all. We still work files, we still mail, we still call, we're still working very hard with everyone that's already a member at that point. But starting, again, December 1st through January 1st, we do not bring on new members. And that was the point of that. And I know a lot of you guys freaked out. There's no way we're going to stop the program. Just so you guys know, I've covered this before too. There is a succession plan in place if something was to happen to me. Jeff automatically gets the business. My brother's the executor. Anyway, it's all covered, guys. You do not have to worry about that. There is a succession plan in place for the business. But again, we work December. It's just we will not sell new programs to new members in December. We just don't do that. And we've done that for like the last 5 years. It gives our guys a break on bringing on new members, and it allows us to concentrate on really pushing hard through the holidays. Because I do give them some time off. I give them Thanksgiving Eve and Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, their birthdays. We get paid time off. There's a lot of things that are going on there. Now, so just so everybody's clear, December, we will work with everyone that's already a member at that point. But from December 1st to January 1st, no new members, no new programs will be sold to new members, period. And again, we'll be getting into the new ebook launch January 1st. We'll be getting into that in the next webinar or two, whichever one we decide to go through on that. Here's what I promised you guys. I promised you guys I would teach how to backward engineer lists. And I've seen lists that were really odd from tax departments, primarily tax overage lists, and where they only listed the parcel ID number and the dollar amount. And people said, I got a list, but it's trash. No, it's not. Now, I'm going to look at I've got notes that I've made for myself. There's a couple of different things you're going to find on occasionally. And this is extremely rare. I've seen this in a county or two in Tennessee. I think I saw this in a county in California. But if you just have an address and a dollar amount for surplus, you look up the address in the county's you look it up using the tax lookup system on the county's assessor's office or appraiser's office, or tax collector's office, or tax collector, appraiser, or assessor. It'll pop up if you put the county name in, followed by tax collector. You can look on that. Another way to do it is you'll run across what's called a GIS, Geographical Information Systems program. that's attached to the tax system. And you can plug that address in and you'll get something that'll pop up just like on the tax card on a normal tax assessor's office. You'll get something that'll pop up that'll show name and address on that property. Well, if you've got address already, it'll also give you a PID or a PIN. That's a parcel ID number or a parcel ID. Here's why that's so important. Doesn't matter who owns the property PIN number will not change. Okay. Also, at that point, they'll have a name of the owner. It'll be either the current owner or the past owner. Often there will be a link on there to the deed for that. If it's the owner that bought it at the sale, I'm talking about tax sales. If it's the owner that bought it at the sale, open the deed. It will someplace in there say, this is sold by the county. The owner that had it before we took away from for taxes is this name. Boom. You've got the ex-owner's name. You can find the deed. I know this sounds hard, guys. It's not. You can find the deed at that point and do your title search at that point, your title research. We teach you how to do all that. But this one, again, just address. You plug in the address on the tax office. You'll get a parcel ID number. Write that down because that's how you'll be able to use when you do your title work. You'll be able to make sure if somebody owned three homes, okay, it only applies. The title work I'm looking for is, the property with this parcel ID number. If you just have an address, the address is searchable on the tax records or tax assessor's page. You can plug in that address, find the parcel ID number. Often you will find links from that to the actual deeds, the current deed when it was sold at tax sale or a past deed as well if it's not been updated. Either way, you can start your research. Here's the other thing I've seen. I have seen where all you get on a list is a parcel ID number and that's it. Same thing. Go to the tax office. Plug in, well, it's a parcel ID number and a surplus amount. Plug in that parcel ID number. It'll give you the address. It'll give you the current owner's name and or the previous one. It'll even a lot of times, like I said before, have a link right there that goes right to the Register of Deeds or Land Records Department and goes right to the deed. And you'll be able to tell, is this the deed or the owner? Because read the deed. Is this the deed and or the owner that bought it at the sale, or was it the person just prior to? Not hard. It's very rare that people run into these type of lists, but when you do, don't throw them away. They're great lists. It's fairly easy to figure out the information you need to go forward and do your title work. Okay. One other thing I wanted to mention in this when you're doing title work is I want to give you a word of caution with quitclaim deeds. If the last owner prior to the sale received that property via a quitclaim deed, it's not quick. That drives me crazy when people say that. It's not Q-U-I-C-K, it's Q-U-I-T, quitclaim deed. That means the person gave them the property, right? They recorded, they've transferred the property to them. There's no mention of debt, or it actually says in there, this has nothing to do with any debt against the property. We're just transferring it. And a lot of times you'll see that when they sell it to someone that agrees to take over payments on something. So you still, on a quitclaim deed, you kind of want to go one back to the previous owner, make sure there wasn't any debt there. Very rare, very quick to do, but it's just a little heads up or a warning that if the last owner received that property as a result of a quitclaim deed, you're going to want to go back one further owner to make sure there wasn't additional debt. Most of the deeds you guys are going to be seeing, those of you that have been doing this a while know what I'm talking about. Most of the deeds you guys are going to be seeing are going to be special warranty deeds when they bought it at a foreclosure prior to them getting foreclosed on, right? Or it's going to be a general warranty deed, which is usually that's handled by an attorney. Occasionally it'll be a quitclaim deed. Sometimes it'll be a sheriff's deed. Sometimes there's a couple of different iterations of this, but the vast majority will be warranty deeds or general warranty deeds or special warranty deeds. That's just transfer of ownership. However, in those deeds, it does mention debt and says in most cases, the owner warrants that there is no additional debt. Quitclaim is not the case. It's a different type of deed. Again, this sounds hard. It is not. It'll make a whole lot more sense once you get the book and you've started doing title. All this stuff will start clicking with you and it will make a lot more sense. I'm also loading up a video here shortly, probably tomorrow, just so you know, on the YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is the same name, Surplus Funds Riches, all one word. Okay, now that's our YouTube channel. There will be a new video loaded up tomorrow going over in-depth phone skills, basically talking on the phone, how to negotiate better, how to raise your voice at the end of sentences. I used to own a telemarketing company. I'm really, really outrageously good on the phone. And I want to teach you guys how to be really, really outrageously good on the phone with no prior experience. So that's going to be a really good video to watch. Relax, guys. Again, I know it sounds hard. It is not. Take your time, relax. Just follow the steps as they're written in the program. Now, I'm going to open up the chat here. Any pre-purchase questions you've got, any post-purchase questions that, you know, this maybe support shouldn't handle because it's something a little oddball, I'd be happy to go into. So let me open support. And guys, here's the deal. We've got to have interaction from you. And I apologize. I gave very little notice this time, so I've got very few people in here. So I'm really going to need you as a community to stand up and participate. Ask questions. Anything on your mind, ask a question. I'm not going to call it a stupid question. I'm not. So let me just go ahead and let this happen. All questions will still be private. In other words, you won't be able to see other people's, but I'll address you by your first name so you know I'm addressing you. And it looks like chat is enabled. So how about that? It looks like it already was. Enable chat. All messages, again, are private, guys. Give me questions. Bring it at me. Anything. No, there's no stupid question. And guys, remember, it makes a difference if people interact. Okay, if we could only get one program, which would you recommend? TJ, I get that a lot. And I used to tell people, hey, if you can afford it, let me answer this as a father, okay? I have 3 kids. 2 of them already graduated from college. One of them is currently in college. If one of my kids, and I'm not saying you guys are my kids, but this gives you an idea of how important this is. If one of my kids came to me and said, Dad, thank you so much for the college education. However, I want to work for you. Well, after I'd wrung their neck for 4 years of college, I would tell them, hey, do me a favor, start with this, and I would set them up. I used to say best of the best bundle. I got to tell you, what Jeff put up recently, I feel like wringing his neck because it's too good of a deal, is the gold bundle. And that's basically the best bundle with the Floridas on top of it, or rather with the D Flip 30 and the Premier 16 added to it. So if you can afford the gold bundle, it's $997. If not, I would get the best of the best. That's fantastic. Those are our top converting programs out of all of them. The gold, the benefit there is you have a way to kind of step up later if you want to start also making calls. You don't have to make calls with the National Surplus or National D Flip or any of the Florida programs. We do that for you, and we find the people, hire the attorney, mobile notary, all that. But if you've got to get just one simple program to start, National Surplus Funds Program, without a doubt. Thanks for the telephone video in advance. Abdul, I've been struggling to not sound like a scammer. People hang up often on me, so thanks in advance. No problem, Abdul. Listen, you're going to run into that. One of the things that's going to be very, very important with that is your tone and how you're handling it. The other thing, though, guys, I'm just going to be straight up with you. The phone conversations are great, but they're setting the groundwork because nobody picks up the phone anymore, right? So you're usually leaving a message. You can also text, but you're usually leaving a message. And what that really does is it sets up the groundwork there. If you're doing this on your own, we do this for you if you're a researcher with us, right, using one of our programs. But if you're struggling and do it on your own, don't lose heart. Leave those messages and send a mailing, because what that does is they both reinforce each other. That's a really, really big deal. And then use the takeaway letters as well. That's huge. That gets us a huge response. I should also, let me make myself a note. We have a new takeaway letter that we're adding where people ghost us, where they sound interested and then they just disappear. Happens quite frequently. But the ghost takeaway works great. Basically, the takeaway letters, guys, do 2 things. Zig Ziglar always said, the fear of loss outweighs the desire for gain. So when you send that takeaway letter, and it's all in the ebook, basically says, look, we're going to move on. You're not returning our calls. Or if it's the ghost, look, you're not returning our calls. We had a conversation. You're not returning our calls. We've got to move on. We're going to see if there may be another debt holder that's entitled, and we just can't chase you anymore. the phone will ring off the hook. So Abdul, that phone conversation is a piece. It's a piece of it. Mailings also help. We also, for our guys, not only mail to the potential client or claimant, but also to their possible relatives and associates. And there's always like an Aunt Martha that's in everybody's business that gives us a call and gives us the information. Jamie, will all correspondence be done via email? Some of your tutoring system mail in your work. No, Jamie, that's like a really old section. It's one sentence. That's kind of silly. It's all email based for file submission. Boris, does it make sense to pay for getting a surplus list in Delaware? You know, Boris, that's your call. I mean, there's plenty of free lists out there. If you feel like getting that list, I haven't had a whole lot turned in, so maybe there's some good opportunity there. Take a shot at it. Serge, hey, Sean, can a hybrid surplus be worked as a standalone program, and how scalable can it be? Serge, not really. Sorry, I see we're seeing a delay here. I'm sorry, Jeff, I'm moving too quick. Hi, Sean, this is from Serge. Can a hybrid surplus be worked as a standalone program, and how scalable can it be? Serge, you've got to have the surplus funds program to really understand how the hybrid works. It's a really good add-on for either National Surplus or Premier 16. Either one. Scalable, it is hugely scalable, but you're really going to need, it's a way to pick up stuff where the owners don't want to talk to you, or there's other debt against it. You go, you know what? I don't want to give up on this just yet. And the way that the hybrid surplus works is if the owner doesn't want to work with you, or if there's another creditor that has a priority claim, or creditors that have a priority claim and they're going to eat the surplus, so you really can't work with the claimant, you check to see if the claimant went into bankruptcy a couple of years before or after that foreclosure date. And if they did, the bankruptcy court will pay you, and this is hybrid surplus I'm talking about. They will pay you 25% just for telling them where the surplus is, and they have a priority claim in front of everybody. And they're not typically listed as a creditor on county websites, so they don't even know the money's there. And it's not their money, so they don't care. They'll work with you, and that's a beautiful thing. Also, if you can't find people, check to see if you've got the hybrid program, teaches you how to check to see if they went into bankruptcy and how to handle it. Boris, they're charging $100 a month for all the requested pages. That seems kind of high to me, Boris. He was talking about Delaware. Claudia, do you think tax liens or your tax lien profit machine is doing well at this time? I think tax liens are doing extremely well, Claudia. It's very easy on the back end to sell those. And the tax liens are working really, really well simply because the counties are out of money, and you're seeing more and more tax liens and tax lien certificates coming up for sale. So yes, ma'am, to answer your question, it's doing very well. When a claimant has the tax commissioner sends the funds directly to them, what do, Bruce? Okay, Bruce, everybody listen to me right now. Over and over, we've pounded into everybody's heads. Use an attorney. You get a power of attorney, not to yourself. Our program teaches you how to do this, all of it. Not to yourself, but to your attorney. Have the attorney either file the paperwork or go to the motion or go to court. In a lot of states, they actually go to the court with the motion and get the money out. And they are not going to go around an attorney. They're not going to mail it directly to a claimant at that point if you have an attorney. So those of you guys who have a book, when you ask a question, I don't know if you have it or not, Bruce, but when you ask a question like that, I know you're not using an attorney, and you're going to get in trouble in some of these states if you're not very, very careful not using an attorney. Great question, Bruce. Just, you don't run into that when you have an attorney. You just don't. It's so rare. It's not even worth thinking about. Some of the states did not mention the time to complete. Is there an update for Suite 16, Doug? I think you mean Premier 16. There's no need for an update, Doug. What we did is some states are in flux, and you're always going to see changes state to state. So if you read the books if you read the books completely, either National Surplus or Premier 16, you'll see that we always recommend that you check state statute just to make sure there isn't a change on that. Can I avoid speaking to the court with a surplus list? What should my surplus list show? Marie. That's going to be in your ebook. I believe there's actually examples of what a list looks like. What you're going to need, obviously, is dollar amount. Okay, you're always going to need dollar amount, or else you don't know if it's worth going after. And if it's a real surplus list, there will be a dollar amount on there. The other things, Marie, you do not need to call if the list is dated within 60 days. Jeff's answering the question, but I didn't answer. Thank you, Jeff. earlier in this, I mentioned a way, and you guys will get the replay, where you can actually backward engineer a list if you don't have a name or address, but you do have a parcel ID number. I told you how to go to the tax form and figure that out. If you have an address but not a name or a tax ID number, I told you how to go to the tax form. So you get the replay on that to get the rest of the information you need. You have to still research debt and ownership, and that's done through the Register of Deeds or Land Records Department with the county. Guys, it's step-by-step the books. It'll teach you how to do it. Great question, Marie. But guys, another thing I want to say, and I'm not making fun of you, Marie, but we get this a lot. And again, Marie, this is not me taking a pot shot or making fun, but I get the impression that people think that if they call the court to double check a list is updated or whatever, and I'm not asking you to do that, especially what Jeff just said, if it's under 60 days, don't worry about it. But, you know, everybody's afraid of it. They think, I'm going to make an analogy. I'm not saying you think this. It's like there's a black helicopter, right? Flying over the courthouse, waiting for somebody to call the courthouse. And then they're going to take off and come down in all black suits, men in black, and they're going to arrest you for calling the court. These guys are there to help you out. Don't be afraid to call them. You can also email and talk. But again, if the list is fresh, you don't even need to check that. So don't worry about it. Abdul, I want to start sending in files. Good. So I can get over the minimum submission hump before the new program starts in January. I'm excited. Do you think I still have time to get 3 to 15 files accepted before January so I can send it limited when the new program starts? Abdul, all you got to do is get 3 accepted and you can send it limited whenever you want. So it's just 3. That's it. 3 files that are accepted. In other words, they were done correctly. Then we know you've done it right? And that keeps people from sending in 15 files with problems. We expect you. It's a learning process, right? You're going to make a few mistakes. We're going to help you correct them 1 file at a time until you've turned in 3 that are accepted. Doesn't take long. Once you've done that, it's unlimited file submission. This way you don't turn in 15. All of them have a little issue with them that we have to correct. You don't get discouraged and go away. There's a reason for everything that we do. So again, you said you want to start in the files. Abdul, you shouldn't have any problem. I've had people turn in files a couple of days after they got the book. Kevin, we cannot do overages in Washington, Oregon, or Colorado. Are the restrictions on those same states for national deed flip? Actually, Kevin, no, it's different. And also, Florida is a different program for us. That's available in some bundles. Because their statutes and the method of looking through the systems online are so different, we wanted to break that out. And we put it into bundles so that we didn't get crisped up. You know, that way there's kind of a monetary barrier. So we're not going to have too many people working a single state. Makes sense. So, right, you can do overages in those states yourself if you want, but if you want to turn it in as a researcher to us, Kevin, we won't take them from those states. As far as deed flips, I don't want deed flips in Colorado. This should be in the ebook. In Colorado, I don't want to do any business in Colorado. We don't want deed flips in Philadelphia, and we don't want deed flips in Memphis, Tennessee. We've just run into too much difficulty in those particular cities or counties, and we just don't want to deal with it. Okay, Abdul, do you still burn delete files in January? If so, I can just resubmit files that were already accepted but didn't pay out. All right, here's the deal, Abdul. So we wait. For instance, right now, January 1st of 2022, I think we'll be deleting files through the end of 2020. So it's a year behind. Just double check the money's still there and resubmit it prior to that. Shouldn't have an issue. Check with Jeff, because I probably made a mistake the way I described that with support. And guys, just so you know, the reason that I push people off on Jeff, he's my right-hand man, business partner. The reason I put that off on him on questions like this is because Jeff is the front line. He does support and he does the underwriting of your files. I'm handling attorneys on claims and realtors and listing property and that type of thing on deed flips, and contacting deed flip owners myself. And then I've got my crew actually doing the surplus work because they're so dang good on the phone. It's unbelievable. But I handle that end of it. Jeff handles the support and the underwriting. So he's the frontline guy. So whatever he says, Abdul goes. And if you ever find a conflict between something I say or what Jeff says, go with Jeff. There you go, Jeff. Check the resources page for file purge dates. Any other questions, guys? I know it's a Thursday night. I don't know what you guys are experiencing. We've got some just really cold, horrible weather here. If I don't get a lot of people asking questions, we'll go ahead and actually wrap this up fairly quickly. So if you got any questions, let's hear them now. Let me check, make sure Jeff hasn't cut it off yet, because he has a better eye on that than I do as a moderator. Well, I'm not seeing anything yet. Also, guys, one of the things you'll notice for those of you guys that are new to us, coming to the webinars and so forth, there's always a countdown clock every day. What that does is that allows us to raise prices whenever we want. Doesn't mean the programs won't be available, but again, they will be taken down. We won't take on new members between December 1st and January 1st. Kevin, here's an interesting question. I just read that Zillow has closed their real estate flipping division. Will that pose a great opportunity for those interested in deed flipping, in your opinion? I ask because I live in the Pacific Northwest where Zillow is headquartered. Kevin, I got to tell you something. I have never seen Zillow as a competitor because of the way they do it. We're going after the low end deal, the low hanging fruit, tax and mortgage sales. I just don't see an issue at all with that. So don't get caught up in whether or not Zillow is going to have an impact. I don't see them having an impact on us at all. They obviously were buying high dollar stuff. They obviously overextended themselves. And Jeff and I were actually joking about this today. Maybe they were going by the values they gave. And Zillow has always been horrible and inflated. So I don't see it. I don't see that as a competitor. I don't see that as changing our I think we're going to have an amazing opportunity in the next couple of months and well into the end of next year. So I don't see that as an issue. Caesar, can we prepay for the surplus 50-50? Caesar, I'll tell you what we're going to probably do. We did this last year, is we're going to have a sign-in page at a certain point, probably get that out in the next 2 to 4 weeks. And that'll lock you in for that day. But no, we don't take prepayment on that stuff. Jeff put the products page up. Somebody had asked, where's the link to the products page? There it is in the comments for you. surplusfundsriches.net, either /products or just surplusfundsriches.net. Click on the products tab, put in your name and email, it'll drop you on the products page. So if I have a file in and has not paid out, I need to resubmit. This is David Hostetler. David, I was talking about if someone had turned in a file prior to January 1st of this year, then by the end of the year, they probably needed to recheck it. Jason, how do I get estimated values for vacant land in Florida? Can't find any except the county. Actually, Jason, I don't think we take vacant land. So I don't see that as an issue. I mean, you've got a tax value, but I don't believe we take vacant land, do we, Jeff? In any state currently, we'll work property if it burned to the ground, but it was a house, and we find that out later that it burned to the ground because it's got its hookups. It's got gas, electric, water, sewer. So it's not something where we have site work involved, because that's a much longer process to sell that and much more involved for the investor. So we try to avoid just plain vacant property like the plague. But perhaps Jeff can speak to that. Serge, do you guys making 6 figures with deed flipping and overages? Do you have guys making 6 figures with deed flipping and overages? Yeah, Serge, if you go to YouTube, Surplus Funds Riches. Oh, wait a minute. We only take vacant land if it's over an acre. My fault. Thank you, Jeff. Or it's waterfront in Florida. Either one we'll take. Just because he's right. That's a lot easier. It's checking some boxes. A lot easier to sell. Serge, do you have guys making 6 figures with deed flipping and overages? Yes. Go to YouTube. Go to Surplus Funds Riches. It's all one word. Surplus Funds Riches. That channel. And what you'll find on there is testimonials from guys that have gotten our programs and doing it on their own. And they're just cranking it out. And of course, we've had researchers make a lot of money as well. Paul, Surplus hybrid, are there still issues dealing with Florida trustees? Paul, you know that better than I do. Again, one of the things that's important, guys, is we don't compete with you on the programs that we don't partner with. If that was an issue, there are 97, I believe, regional bankruptcy courts in the United States. So I would move along if you're having an issue with somebody in particular. Abdul, is there a chance the Share the Love video testimonials is still open and being reviewed? The testimonials are there, Abdul. Just go to Surplus, go to YouTube, and the channel is Surplus Funds Riches, all one word. I've got some messages here, and maybe from Jeff. So let me just double check this real quick. Sorry, guys. Oh, Jeff's just letting me know he shut it down at 7:30. So if you guys are watching this, it's shut down. But I've got a couple questions yet to go. Well, let me cover that again, Abdul. The Share the Love. What the Share the Love was about was if you guys have had success with surplus and you can show me that, prove it. I don't want to take a testimonial that's not true. If you can prove that, send me some documentation to that effect. I will, and you can do even off your iPhone or your Android, a quick selfie video, which is your first name, the program you got, and the success you had. If you send that in, we call that Share the Love. We'll give you a free ebook of your choice of one that you haven't already purchased. Obviously, we're going to check that you bought from us. I think that covers it, guys. I know this was down and dirty quick. I promise you we'll have long ones in the future. We just didn't have, I knew it was going to be like this time of year. We just didn't have a whole lot of people sign up and come to this particular one. I think last time was 120, 140. Now we're down to 55 this time. It was timing, and I didn't need to give enough notice. Of course, you can call me directly. This will be on our replay as well. If you guys have pre-purchase, not post-purchase, Jeff handles support, okay? But if you've got pre-purchase questions, you can call me direct, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or Eastern Daylight Time, whatever it is, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time at 704-791-9398. Hey, thanks, guys, and have a great night.